Assalamu alaikum students. This is your instructor Muhammad Umar Khatak for the course Organizational Theory and Behavior. This is our 13th lecture and today we'll be starting chapter number 4, Emotions and Moods. Emotions and Moods. Emotions can be an important part of the way people behave at work. Given the obvious role emotions play in our lives, it might surprise you that until recently, the field of OB had given the topic of emotions little attention. Why? We offer two possible explanations. First is the myth of rationality. Until very recently, the protocol of the world kept a damper on emotions. A well run organization didn't allow employees to express frustration, fear, anger, love, hate, joy, grief, or similar feelings, thought to be the antithesis of rationality. Though researchers and managers knew emotions were an inseparable part of everyday life, they tried to create organizations that were emotion free. Of course, that wasn't possible. The second explanation is that many people believed that emotions of any kind were disruptive. Researchers looked at strong negative emotions, especially anger, that interfered with an employee's ability to work effectively. They rarely viewed emotions as a constructive or contributing to enhanced performance. Certainly, some emotions, particularly when exhibited at the wrong time, can hinder employee performance. But this doesn't change the fact that employees bring their emotional sides with them to work every day, and that no study of organizational behavior would be comprehensive without considering the role of emotions in workplace behavior. What are emotions and moods? In our analysis, we will need three terms that are closely intertwined: affect, emotions, and moods. Affect is a generic term that covers a broad range of feelings people experience, including both emotions and moods. Emotions are intense feelings directed at someone or something. Moods are less intense feelings than emotions and often, though not always, arise without a specific event acting as a stimulus. Most experts believe that emotions are more fleeting than moods. For example, if someone is rude to you, you will feel angry. That intense feeling of anger probably comes and goes fairly quickly, maybe even in the matter of seconds. When you are in a bad mood, though, you can feel bad for several hours. Emotions are reactions to a person. For example, seeing a friend at work may make you feel glad, or event, for example, dealing with a rude client may make you feel angry. You show your emotions when you're happy about something or angry about someone, afraid of something. Moods, in contrast, aren't usually directed at a person or an event. But emotions can turn into moods when you lose focus on the event or object that started the feeling. And by the same token, good or bad moods can make you more emotional in response to an event. So when a colleague criticizes how you spoke to a client, you might become angry at him. That is, you show emotion, anger, towards a specific object, your colleague. But as the specific emotion dissipates, you might just feel generally dispirited. You can't contribute or attribute this feeling to any single event. You are just not your normal self. You might then overreact to other events. The affect state describes a mood. Emotions. Emotions are caused by specific events. Emotions are brief in duration, seconds or even minutes. Specific and numerous in nature, many specific emotions such as anger, fear, sadness, happiness, disgust, surprise, usually accompanied by a distinct facial expression. And emotions are action oriented in nature. What are emotions and moods? Moods. Moods are caused in often general and unclear way. They last longer than emotions, hours or even days. More general, two main dimensions, positive effect and negative effect, that are composed of multiple specific emotions, generally not indicated by distinct facial expressions, and they are cognitive in nature. The basic emotions. How many emotions are there? There are dozens, including anger, contempt, enthusiasm, envy, fear, frustration, disappointment, embarrassment, disgust, happiness, hate, hope, jealousy, joy, love, pride, surprise, and sadness. Numerous researchers have tried to limit them to a fundamental set. But some researchers argue that it makes no sense to think of basic emotions because even emotions we rarely experience, such as shock, can have a powerful effect on us. Other researchers, even philosophers, argue that there are universal emotions common to all of us. The basic emotions. Rene Descartes, often called the founder of modern philosophy, identified six simple and primitive passions: wonder, love, hatred, desire, joy, and sadness, and argued that all the others are composed of some of these six or are species of them. Although other philosophers like Hume, Hobbes, or Spinoza identified categories of emotions, proof of existence of a basic set of emotion still waits for contemporary researchers. Psychologists have tried to identify basic emotions by studying facial expressions. One problem is that some emotions are too complex to be easily represented on our faces. Many think of love as the most universal of all emotions, yet it's not easy to express it through only a facial expression. The way we experience an emotion isn't always the same as the way we show it. Also, cultures have norms that govern emotional expression. And many companies today offer anger management programs to teach people to contain or even hide their inner feelings. It's unlikely psychologists or philosophers will ever completely agree on a set of basic emotions, or even on whether there is such a thing. Still, many researchers agree on six essentially universal emotions: anger, fear, sadness, happiness, disgust, and surprise. Some even plot them along a continuum: happiness, surprise, fear, sadness, anger, disgust. The closer any two emotions are to each other on this continuum, the more likely it is that people will confuse them. For instance, we sometimes mistake happiness for surprise, but rarely do we confuse happiness and disgust. In addition, we'll see later on, cultural factors can also influence interpretations. The basic moods, positive and negative effect. One way to classify emotions is by whether they are positive or negative. Positive emotions such as joy and gratitude express a favorable evaluation or feeling. Negative emotions such as anger or guilt express the opposite. Keep in mind that emotions can be neutral. Being neutral is being non emotional. When we group emotions into positive and negative categories, they become mood states because we are now looking at them more generally instead of isolating one particular emotion. When we think of positive effect as a mood dimension consisting of positive emotions such as excitement, self assurance, and cheerfulness at the high end, and boredom, sluggishness, and tiredness at the low end. Negative effect is a mood dimension consisting of nervousness, stress, and anxiety at the high end, and relaxation, tranquility, and poise at the low end. Positive effect and negative effect play out at work and beyond work, of course, in that they color our perceptions and these perceptions can become their own reality. For example, one flight attendant posted an anonymous blog on the web that said, and I quote, I work in a pressurized aluminum tube and the environment outside my office cannot sustain human life. That being said, the human life inside is not worth sustaining sometimes. In fact, the passengers can be jerks and idiots, and I'm often treated with no respect. Nobody listens to me until I threaten to kick them off the plane. Unquote. Clearly, if a flight attendant is in a bad mood, it's going to influence his perceptions of passengers, which will in turn influence his behavior. Importantly, negative emotions are likely to translate into negative moods. People think about events that created strong negative emotions 5 times as long as they do about events that created strong positive ones. So we should expect people to recall negative experiences more readily than the positive ones. Perhaps one of the reasons is that, for most of us, they are also more unusual. Indeed, research shows that there is a positively offset, meaning that at zero input, when nothing in particular is going on, most individuals experience a mildly positive mood. So, for most people, positive moods are somewhat more common than negative moods. The positively offset also appears to operate at work. For example, one study of customer service representatives in British call center revealed that people reported experiencing positive moods 58% of the time. This would be the end. Thank you.